He was a radio presenter, TV presenter on multiple shows, leading comedian. You all submitted your guesses. Super excited to welcome him here. Can we please welcome Seamus Evans? How are we, everyone? Good. Oh, good. A bit early in the morning, is it? Let me ask you again, all right? How are we, everyone? Good. All right, we're getting there. So everybody, as we sit here in this theatre, every single one of us has an insecurity or a flaw or a challenge or something that we consider is wrong with ourselves. Everyone sitting here right now has that. It's completely normal, whether you were diagnosed with it, born with it, or it's something that's happened to you later in life. And I'm going to share with you my story and show that through acceptance, passion, and determination, you can overcome that flaw, you can overcome that adversity, and turn a flaw into a superpower. So my name is Seamus Evans, and I have Tourette's syndrome. Does anyone know what Tourette's syndrome is? Hands? All right, let's go. What's your name, bro? Akara. Akara? Cairo, that's a cool name. Loud voice, what's Tourette's?
It's where like you can't control tics, yeah.
Nice, thanks for the help. All right, good. Round of applause for Cairo. So Tourette's syndrome is an accumulation of tics, both motor and vocal tics, and you need to have both of them in order to be classified as Tourette's syndrome. I've got heaps. So it's not actually as rare as people think. 1 in 100 kids have Tourette's, and 1 in 200 adults have Tourette's syndrome. So the best way to describe having a tic is like having an itch on your arm. So you can stand there and get an itchy arm and go, someone go, you scratch your arm. Oh, didn't even realise, because it just happens. Because everybody's brain self-regulates itself and fires through signals to keep it active. People with Tourette's have a weak or no gait to stop those signals, so they fire through. So I need, what's your name? Ben, and you? Sam. Ben and Sam, a big round of applause for these boys. So, have you ever done a competition where you don't blink?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Have you guys ever done that before, where you try not to blink for as long as you can? Okay, so we're going to watch these guys. Watch them closely, watch their eyes. First one to blink loses, okay? Ready, 3, 2, 1, go! Oh, he blinked! Okay, sit down. That's it. So we've all done it before when you try not to blink and it starts to hurt. It starts to feel really red and raw. So that's what happens when you suppress a tic. And in the Tourette's syndrome community, it is strongly advised, do not suppress your tics. I have heaps of tics. I was born with Tourette's. I was diagnosed at the age of 10. Do you want to see my tics?
Yes.
Oh, very good. Good enthusiasm. So I'm going to need more enthusiasm for that, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand here and I'm going to show you all of my tics, okay? And I want everybody collectively to count 1, 2, 3 when you see them. Can we do that?
Yes.
Very good. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Mum, man, eh?
13, 14, 15.
Okay, 15. We'll stop at 15. Very good. Oh, there's one more.
16.
16. So, having Tourette's, depending how you look at it, can be hilarious. It can be really, really funny. For example, this is one of my tics, and when I walk down the street, I go like this, someone's walking towards me, they think I'm saying hello to them. I'm like, g'day mate. But I don't want to be a weirdo. I go, I don't know you, I've got Tourette's. I don't know you, I've got Tourette's. That'd be weird. So I just pretend I know them and talk to a complete stranger. Or, you know, when you're sitting here in this theatre, or an aeroplane and you're sitting down, and there's always that battle for the armrest, and the sitting guy next to you, I win every time. And the guy looks at me and goes, what are you doing? And I go, he's like, ah! There was only one time growing up where Tourette's kind of held me back. I said to Mum, Mum, I want to be in the army. She goes, Seamus, you're not going to be in the army, mate. They're not going to take you. You've got Tourette's. I was like, well, I could probably be like a good drummer in the band, or I play the trumpet. Let's face it, I'm not going to be a sniper. Come in, Seamus. We need your steady hands to take out the new target. Yeah, this is Seamus here. I'm the best sniper in the Australian military, mate. Target the side of fire and ready. However, there's no cure to Tourette's. And when I was your age, when I was sitting here, just like you, I went to this school, and I was sitting in this theatre, growing up, having Tourette's was really hard. It was really difficult. I hated it, because I couldn't control it. I would grunt so hard that I would ruin my voice box. I'd flick my head so hard I'd give myself a headache. I would flick my hand so hard I'd hurt my hand. Bang my knees together, I gave myself bruises. I would get so frustrated with these things that I hated, I would just throw myself on the ground out of frustration and hatred for myself, and I'd punch myself in the face, not as a tick, but because I just hated them, and I wanted them gone so badly. It was really difficult, and as many of us have either seen, experienced, as a lot of students can be really mean, and there's bullying. And there was one period, I remember, I was at school, and when you have Tourette's, there's another neurological condition that comes with it. There's ADHD, I've got that, and OCD. So when I was growing up, if I hit my toe, I'd have to hit the other side just as hard. And I remember some kids at school would slap me across the face and watch as I'd have to slap the other side of my face. And it would suck because you had all these comments. Stop doing that, Seamus, it's annoying. Stop twitching. Why do you do it, you weirdo? Take your medication. It sucked. It really hurt. And so what happened after a period of time is I just didn't want to have them because I couldn't control them. So I pretended I didn't. And I would ignore the people looking at me and pointing, what's wrong with that guy? And it's like I was walking around with a giant elephant, a big purple elephant on my back, and pretending it wasn't there. Rolling along about life like there's no problem in the world. And now, I'll ask someone else. What about you, bro? What's your name?
Noah.
Noah. What do you want to be when you grow up? It's a hard question. Some of the teachers don't know here.
Happy.
You want to be happy? That's good.
I don't know, sort of science, engineering.
Perfect. Very good. So when I was younger, when I was your age, all I wanted to be was on television. Now, when I was at school, this is through not the school's fault, this is my fault, because I was lazy, I never applied myself, and I didn't like school. So I really struggled academically at school. When I graduated, because of my ADHD, and I couldn't sit still, and I just wasn't applying myself, I couldn't read or write properly after school. I spelt skateboard with the number 8. And I remember all I wanted to be was on television. That was it. I wanted to write sketches, I wanted to interview famous people, I wanted to make jokes and act a fool. Now what channel in their right mind is going to employ someone who can't sit still, has Tourette's, has ADHD, horrible attention span? Could you imagine? We're going to cross live now to Seamus Evans with the weather report. Hey guys, yeah, down here on the Gold Coast, it's going to be, oh look, there's a dog! It just wasn't going to work. However, when I was 18, fresh out of lorries, I was very lucky enough to get a job on Toasted TV. Did anybody remember Toasted TV? It only finished a couple of years ago. It was a cartoon show, and I was lucky enough to get it. I got the job. I was like, this is amazing. This is what I've always wanted. But I used to pretend I didn't have Tourette's, and I didn't come out and tell the boss straight away. And what happened a week into my very first job out of lorries, I never thought I was going to be capable of this. I actually got it. This was my dream come true. My boss pulled me aside and said, why do you keep twitching? I said, I've got Tourette's. And he freaked out. And what happens when you sign a contract with a company is you're on a probation period. And so there's a period where if you aren't the right fit, they can just fire you. And he said, well, you're under probation, so if you can't get a hold of your Tourette's, then if there's going to be a problem, we'll fire you. And so right then and there, my dream job was about to become a living nightmare. And I was faced with a problem, a decision. Give up. Stuff it. I'll never make it. I've got Tourette's. What am I, crazy? I can barely read or write. Just give up. It's too embarrassing. Do something else. Or, why don't you go for it? You've already got the job. What are they going to do, fire you? Well, let's see how long you can last. And so what happened, I had to accept the fact that I was different. I had to accept the fact that I had Tourette's. I had to accept it. And that way I was able to work on it. And so what I did from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep, every single day, all day, I would focus on myself. How am I feeling? Am I angry? Am I tired? Am I sad? Am I anxious? Am I frustrated? And I would register. Remember, the brain fires those signals, and we have a weak gate. So I'd get these signals, these ticks, like that itch on my arm, and I think, hang on, how can I scratch that itch without actually making it so visible so I can tick while I'm on television? And so I learned, instead of scratching your arm like that, there's another way to do it. And so I would learn every single day, step by step, I would learn how to redirect those ticks and control them and not let them control me anymore. And what happened is I actually went to work on Toasted TV for 4 years. 4 years I hosted that show. I travelled around the world, I travelled around Australia, I interviewed famous people. It was amazing. It was one of the best times of my life. And then after that, my boss pulled me aside and said, do you want to go down and work on Totally Wild in Adelaide? Do you remember Totally Wild? Totally Wild is a lot more educational and it's a lot more journalist based. And you had to research, you had to read, and you had to write proper scripts. Now I spelled skateboard with an 8. How do you think that was going to go down? So again, I was faced with that decision, that question, what am I going to do? Just quit, Seamus. It's too embarrassing. You're 23 and you can barely read or write. What's the matter with you? Or, you've come this far. Why don't you go a little bit further? And so what I would do every single night before I went to sleep, I would read. I would read everything. I would read books, newspapers, articles, magazines, blogs, reviews, anything I could get my hands on. And I would start writing. I'd keep a journal. I'd write articles, reviews, blogs, anything. And I kept writing. Now I ended up working on television for 7 years. They were going to fire me after a week, and that lasted 7 years. After accepting the fact that I had Tourette's, after accepting the fact that I was different, leaning into it, learning to love it and working on myself, I was able to keep it for 7 years. So, do we want to see my time on television?
Yes.
Very good. Hit it!
How do I do this?
Welcome to Totally Wild, where you never know what's going to happen.
So there was no way I thought that would have been possible for me at all. But just like as I was sitting here in this very theatre, just like you are, that's what I wanted, but I never thought it was actually going to be possible for me until I accepted the fact that I was different. I accepted it, I learned to love it, and I worked on it, that 7 years was possible. So what happened after I accepted myself and I started leaning into my personality, I discovered a passion. And what I learned, that my passion wasn't actually television. Even though I loved it, I thought, you know what? I think I want to be on radio. I like hearing the breakfast show as I got driven to school in the morning or driving to work up to Mount Cootha. And I thought, I want to do breakfast radio. So after 7 years being on television, I thought, I'm off. I'm quitting, moving to Melbourne. I'm going to be the next Kyle Sandilands. Not a lot of you know who that is. So what happened now? This is extremely important for me to tell you this at this time. And a lot of you are going to experience this when you hit your mid-20s. I was on television for 7 years. Across, in fact, Totally Wild was on 53 different countries. I thought I was pretty good. Right? I was a bit of a socialite in Adelaide. And I thought, hey, I'll get a job pretty easy. No problem. I'm on television. You know what happened when I went to Melbourne? No one cared. They did not care that I was on television. Every phone call I made was hung up on. Every door I knocked on was shut in my face. Every email I sent wasn't responded to. And what happened? This giant, big ego, I thought so big of myself, I thought, pretty amazing. Deflated like a giant balloon. And I got really depressed because I was nothing now. I had all this and I was nothing. But I really wanted to be on radio because I had accepted who I was. I discovered a passion being radio and I became determined to achieve that. And so what happened is I ended up getting a job as a promo guy for Nova down in Melbourne, where I drive the cars, wear the shirt, hand out the icy cold cans of Coke. But it wasn't what I wanted. So every single week I'd say, stuff this, man, I quit. I'm going to quit, I'm going back home, I'm doing something else. And every single day I had to build the resilience to stop myself and say, no, just quit next week. get through this week, relax, get through this week, and quit next week. And then it got shorter and shorter as time went on. And I started saying, I'm quitting today. I said, Seamus, quit tomorrow. Quit tomorrow. Just get through today. Quit tomorrow. And it took 8 months of going through that journey, building that resilience, because I was determined to achieve what I wanted after accepting who I was as a person, discovering my passion, and becoming determined. After 8 months, I got a phone call from the Hit Network. Everyone knows B105 in the morning? So that company called me and said, Seamus, do you want to host the breakfast show in Albury Wodonga? I said, yes! Of course! So I moved there, and I was hosting the breakfast radio show down in Albury Wodonga, and I couldn't have been more happy. It was amazing. I loved it, and I got so good at it because I applied myself. I applied myself after school instead of school. I got really good at it, and I loved it. And then the boss of the network in Cairns, for the Hit Network up there, called me. Said, Seamus, do you want to move up here and host the breakfast show up there? I said, yes! And up there, because I lent into my personality, I discovered another passion. That was stand-up comedy. And so I was doing stand-up comedy up in Cairns 3 times a week. Now, what you saw there, and up until this day, for 13 years, I have been working on myself to try and redirect those tics so I could have had that job. So I'm going to stand here. Do you remember how many tics we saw last time you counted? 16. So I'm going to stand here for 20 seconds. Where's Cairo? I need you to count in your head to 20. And when you get to 20, go, stop! Can you do that? Everybody, in your head, count this time. So not out aloud. I'm going to stand here and I want you to see how many tics that I do, okay? Go.
Stop.
Okay, hands up. How many? Go.
1.
1. Okay.
I counted 8.
8. 4. Okay, let's go through them. Ready? I went tense, left butt cheek, right knee, left knee, 4, tense that, 5, tense elbow, 6, move wrist, 7, move wrist that way, 8, wink, 9, tense, 11, stomach roll, 12, and then twitch the eye, 13. Okay, so we got up to 13. But can you see the difference from when I first showed you to now? Through every single day, working on it a little bit more, a little bit more. You know that giant elephant that I had, that purple elephant, right? Sometimes in life, there's something so big in front of you, you think, I can't do that. That's going to be impossible. There's no way I can do that. I heard a very famous quote a long time ago that's resonated with me for so long by a man named Desmond Tutu, who was a priest in the 80s. He said, how do you eat an elephant? Does anyone know that answer? How do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. And so that's how I was able to have a 13-year career after accepting who I was as a person, leaning into it, discovering a passion, and becoming determined. And so what happened after that? After last year, my breakfast job came to an end because of COVID-19. And my whole 13-year career that I never thought was possible came to an end. And so now, what I do is I go around to schools and I talk about my story. Because remember that insecurity, that flaw that I had, that embarrassment, that shame, that hatred for Tourette's. Now I'm an ambassador for Tourette Syndrome Association Australia. Because I've turned a flaw into a superpower that separates me from everybody else. And just like you sitting here now, everyone has an insecurity, everyone has a flaw, everyone has something that you're embarrassed by, that you hide, that you mask, that you try not to show. And just the way I've done it through acceptance, passion and determination, you can turn a flaw into your superpower. It depends how you look at it. So remember how I was telling you that when you don't blink, it hurts, right? When you don't scratch your arm, when you've got that tick, when you suppress, that it hurts. It gets frustrating. When you mask something, it's just the same as when you don't let yourself be who you are, when you hold back, when you're embarrassed to say to your mates, you know what, I don't know if I like rugby. Or if you say, I don't know if I like soccer, or I like that song. When you hide who you are as a person, it starts to hurt. It starts to weigh down on you. It starts to get frustrating, just like suppressing. So that's how I was able to have such a great career, lean into my personality, and turn a flaw into a superpower. Thank you so much.
Gents, all I can simply say is wow. What an incredible story. The way you turned your flaws into a superpower through persistence, determination and passion is truly an inspiration that we can all take away from today. So as a small token of our appreciation, we'd like to thank you so much for giving up your time this morning and sharing your story with us. Thank you so much.
Can we get you guys to squeeze in? We'll get a quick photo, guys. Massive group.